It is no news that a lot of Africans are now living in droves to the UK in search of better living conditions. One of such African countries that I know of is Nigeria, and it won't be out of place if anyone should ask why now. If you are interested in this video, let's get into it. Hi everyone, I welcome you all once again back to my channel. In today's video, I will be talking about survival, settlement, growth, especially in the UK for students and non-students alike. Though this is not to convince or deter you, but to make you more aware of the issues you may likely face as a student, partner of a student, and partners of settled persons. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Well, for those of you who are students of history, if you recall in the 80s, a lot of Nigerians left the shores of the country as a result of austerity measures that was introduced by the government of President Shehu Shagari. However, one would have thought that by now things would have gotten a lot better, but unfortunately things are now even worse than what it should have been compared to some other countries that were in the same situation with Nigeria back then. Now, just like in the 80s, Africa is witnessing massive brain drain due to harsh economic situations and bad conditions of living. To this end, a lot of Africans have resorted to living for better opportunities outside the shores of Africa. This invariably takes me to the topic of the day, which is how do people survive when they eventually get to their travel destinations, especially in Europe, United Kingdom to be precise. This is a pertinent question, and in answering that, the decision to travel abroad has to be taken by you and you alone. The mistake a lot of people make is that they allow themselves to be pressured either by family members or their peers into traveling without no concrete plans as to what to do when they get there and how to achieve that. Though there is an exception, and the exception here is those who travel as professionals that already know where and what they're getting into. You may ask the question, what do I do when I get there if I had taken that decision to travel abroad? Well, when you eventually get to your destination, either as a student or a spouse who has come to be with his or her partner, if you're a professional but have come to join your partner, it is important that you look for jobs in the field you were in before you left your country of origin. Jobs in ICT or health related like nursing, psychiatrist, radiography, etc. can easily land you a job. But if you are not in those lines of profession, I would suggest you look for ways to break into the ICT industry or any health related field if that suits your purpose. Go ahead and take up courses in those areas. If it doesn't matter how old you are, for as long as you are good enough, then a place is guaranteed for you. This is not to say that other professions can't fetch you a job. It can, because the world is now more global than it was years back. But in reality, those areas I mentioned may fetch you more opportunities easier and quicker than others. I must state that you should keep a modest mindset when you are relocating abroad, as foreign countries may not be as rosy as people may have portrayed it to be to you. One of the issues people face when they relocate abroad is culture shock. Culture shock can be demoralizing. In fact, if care is not taken, most people may want to move back within months of their moving over due to culture shock. The truth is that when people who live abroad talk about how frustrating it can be trying to adapt, many people who are nursing the ambition to join them always thought that they are being discouraged. But the reality is that culture shock can drive you crazy, especially if you are someone who is so deep-rooted to your cultural ways of life. Furthermore, when you eventually arrive at your destination, I always advise people to go for their provisional driver's license, especially in the UK. Reason being that driver's license serves as your identity card and will deter you from going about with your biometric residence permit. That is the BRP, which equally serves as an ID. But in this instance, keeping your BRP in a safe and secure place means you can't misplace it easily. And trust me, you wouldn't want to misplace it, as the process of retrieving it may be longer. And in the case of emergency, you may not be able to travel abroad. Another good reason for having your driver's license is that in the case of renewal of your BRP, your license always serves as an ID card, as I had mentioned earlier, which most often is helpful during banking transactions in terms of changing your banking details and other banking transactions. Again, in your quest to settle down, and for those who came to be with their partners and feel they do not possess the know-how to get a job, I always advise that they look for apprenticeship jobs as to be able to garner job enough job experience in the areas they would eventually settle in. This is very important and will make you not to run around as much before settling into your specific area of interest. And for those who are professionally inclined before moving over, there is always this apprehension within them whether they will get a job or not, which is a valid concern. For me, I say to such people to fear not. Rather, concentrate on making your CV presentable and acceptable such that when employers see it, they will have no choice than to call you for an interview. Remember, there is a format to writing CVs in any country you may decide to settle. So when you travel, endeavor to upgrade your CVs to the standard of your host country. These are little details that may propel your growth easily in the UK. Now let's talk about student survival and settlement. Survival in the UK as a student can be very challenging. Notwithstanding, it is a challenge that if you are determined, you can surmount, and this can be gratifying at the end of the day. No wonder studying abroad in recent time has been on the rise to the point that people considered as middle class, if there is any, in quotes, especially in Africa, are striving to send their wards abroad for quality education, considering the state of our educational system. As good as this may sound, I've come to the realization that some parents do not do their due diligence when it comes to sending their kids to foreign lands for education. What do I mean by this? In a bid to quickly send their child off to the UK for quality education, some parents forget to firstly study the culture of that school and its environs and the implication of such on that child. For me, that is number one catalyst for something that may or may not be in the interest of that child, if not properly addressed. I say this because I have seen students who ended up losing their sense of Africanism as a result of getting so engulfed by the system, which brought nothing but sadness to their parents. If you as a parent must send your child to study abroad, I advise that you make out time to regularly check up on them by yourself or through proxies. And on the part of the students, traveling abroad for studies is a good thing if you or your parents have the means, but it comes without these challenges. As a student, there are many challenges you may contend with, but before you arrive, there are two germane questions I think a lot of people do not ask themselves, and those questions are: one, why do I want to study in the UK? And secondly, what do I hope to achieve out of that in terms of moving back home or settling in the UK afterwards? I will dwell more on those who would like to settle back after their studies, but before then, let us quickly go back to the challenges students may face. Bear in mind that challenges abound, and the challenges you may face are, but not limited to, culture shock, loneliness, which sometimes can lead to depression if care is not taken, lack of money, language barrier, feeling homesick, integration problem, etc. This may sound as though it is easy to overcome, but in reality, they seriously affect some person's well-being. I'm not here to tell you what to or not to do as we deal with issues differently, but to let you know what you may face when you eventually settle in, and for you to start looking for ways to deal with it when you eventually come over. With that being said, as soon as you settle in, quickly get your provisional driver's license done, as this will be beneficial to you at some point. Also look for jobs no matter how little you may be earning from it, because you just can't survive without earning some money, except you have a very solid source of getting extra income. UK is a very bubbly country, especially London, and there are many places you can go for fun for those who like outdoor activities. I may likely do a video on that later on. Now back to the issue of settling after your studies. What are the opportunities? Well, this is a great time to study in the UK, as the government has relaxed some immigration policies for students of tertiary institutions. As a graduate, you can now go on to apply for a post-study visa, which gives you unlimited freedom to work in any organization of your choice without restrictions. And this is a way of saying thank you to students who spend thousands of pounds schooling in the UK by the UK government. Bear in mind that at the end of the 2 years, when your visa expires, you are expected to go back to your country of origin. And this is where most students who intend to stay back struggle due to the fact that post-study visa isn't extendable. One good thing about a post-study visa is that it gives you the opportunity to look for organizations that can employ you with the prospect of sponsoring your residence permit visa, which can lead to your permanent stay after 5 years. Though getting such companies is challenging because a lot of people are looking for it. And unfortunately, not all companies are licensed to sponsor immigrants. If you are lucky to have one, good luck to you. I must state here that another good aspect of studying in the UK is that it affords you the opportunity to come with your spouse for those that are married. And while you as a student are not allowed to work more than 20 hours a week, your partner has the liberty to work more than 20 hours a week and in any organization of his or her choice, and also entitled to get a sponsorship from any company willing to sponsor him or her for permanent residence. What this means is that if your partner happens to secure a company that offers sponsorship, that could work in your favor, as your student visa will be converted to resident permit when your sponsorship application is granted, thereby eliminating you from such restrictions like not working more than 20 hours a week, and you will be seen as a home student, which means your school fees will be the same fees as the UK citizens, though you are not entitled to any form of benefits, but your liberty is more guaranteed than before. If you intend to stay back, what sort of course or courses can you study? It is always good to make up your mind whether you want to remain in the UK after your studies or go back to your country. I say this because it will help you in identifying the course or courses that you will need to study. You should be aware by now that there are courses that you may study in the UK, and after studying it, you may struggle to get a job. Do a bit of research to know those courses that will put you on the right path and give you the opportunity for sponsorship if you want to stay back. Another thing I would like to touch on is the fear of moving abroad. I have noticed that a lot of people relocating and also dependent on their spouses who are students have this phobia when it comes to moving abroad because they believe they may never get a better job than the one they are currently doing. Well, you can only let this affect you if you do not have a daring spirit. Yes, fear of uncertainty is real, but one good thing about the UK is that it gives everyone the chance to become whatever they want to become if they work assiduously towards it. As a professional, the good thing is that the world is now more global than it was in the past, and you are likely to get the same type of work you are doing back home here if you pursue it. And if you're not a professional and would like to get into that corporate world, I'll advise that you train yourself in whatever field that you want to get into, and if possible, apply for apprenticeship jobs, as that will give you more knowledge and experience that will help you during your job interviews. Well guys, at this juncture, I just want to say that this is just an awareness video, and I believe if you take into consideration some of the things pointed out here today, your growth in the UK is imminent. I hope this video provides you with the requisite knowledge needed to navigate through some of these challenges you may face if you are nursing the ambition to move abroad. I sincerely thank you for watching my videos, and please do not forget to subscribe for more instructive videos. Till next time, take care and bye.